17. One dream. One fan.
30, 20, 10, touchdown Miami!
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast on this Sunday evening, March the 8th. I'm your host, Michael Leva, flying solo today as free agency is just a few hours away, Monday at noon. I know they call it the legal tampering period. It's really a start of free agency because teams and players will agree to deals, and it's not like those deals usually don't end up happening when it gets to Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. So free agency a few hours away. Don't think it's going to be a busy week for the Dolphins and, adding players per se, but it might be a busy news week. And I think we're starting to get a clearer picture on what the Dolphins might be doing at quarterback and stuff like that. So we're going to talk about all of that on today's show. Before I get to that, let's get the business aspect out of the way. This show is brought to you by Caneswear. Everyone go to the website, caneswear.com, for the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins apparel on the internet. If you need something with the Miami Dolphins logo on it, a hat, hoodie, t-shirt, polo, something for the home, office, or the car, go to caneswear.com. Go to that website before you go to any other website. They got the best prices. They ship internationally as well, and it's the most affordable. Caneswear.com, caneswear.com. If you're in South Florida, stop by their store at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. Shout out to everyone watching us live at the I Am a Miami Dolphins Fan Facebook page. If you're on Facebook, swing by and make sure you are a member of the I Am a Miami Dolphins Fan Facebook page, run by the great Carlos Hernandez. And if you're watching me live right now on YouTube, please be sure to smash that like button. Smash it right now. Get it out of the way. Also, subscribe to the channel. And super chats are open between now and the end of the show. If you leave me a super chat, whether a comment, if you agree with what I say, if you don't agree with what I say, or you got a topic you want me to talk about, leave it in a super chat. And between now and the end of the show, I will read it on the air. All right, let's, I guess the big news that probably is going to happen this week, and it might even happen by the time some of you are listening to this on Monday, if you listen on Monday, I think the Dolphins most likely will let go of Tua this week. I think this is the week it happens. It doesn't have to happen this week, but I just think it's going to happen this week. I have a feeling it might happen Monday morning too. I would not be shocked if when everyone wakes up Monday morning pretty early, if there's a tweet out that Tua has been released. Now, as we've spoken about on this show the past month or so, Miami's got 4 options on how they can do this. 2 of them seem unrealistic. 2 of them are more realistic. They're not going to take the $99 million cap hit. That ain't happening. They're not going to restructure his deal to have it be a small cap hit. I think those 2 are just like the far extremes. The 2 most likely, and the most likely is he has an option in his contract. They're going to pick up the option, and the cap hit this year will be roughly $55 million, and the cap hit in 2027 will be $43 million. If they don't pick up the option, the cap hit this year is $67 million. The cap hit next year is like $32 million or something. It's going to be one of those 2, and I think the most likely, as we've said on this show numerous times, and we've spoken about ad nauseum for weeks, they're going to pick up the option. It'll be a $55 million cap hit this year, $43 million cap hit next year. And once that happens, Miami's long nightmare is over. I know there's still some fans, and there's even some in the media who are grappling with his release and think you can hide him on IR for a year and try to put a healthy guy on IR for a year. Especially one as prominent as Tua, the union's going to be so far up Miami's keister, it's not worth the battle. Or some say just let him be a backup, and I say good luck with that, because you'll just create a toxic locker room. As soon as a team goes 0-2, 0-3 or something, or goes on a losing streak, everyone's going to be clamoring to play Tua. And plus, let's just be honest too. Tua's not a great locker room guy. Like, he goes to press conferences, throws his teammates under the bus. It's just that's not a realistic option. But I do think his time is going to end this week. Just move on from him. You can't trade him. I mean, I know there was a report, some team considered it, and they only considered it if Miami would throw in a first-round pick, which they're never going to do. But even if you throw in like a third, I still don't think any team's going to trade for him. Why would you? Just let Miami cut him, and then you can sign him for the vet minimum of $1.21 million, and it just makes the most sense. But hopefully this is over this week, because I'm sick of talking about Tua. I've been sick of sick about talking about him for years because I just don't think he's a very good player. And, his time in Miami can't come to an end soon enough, honestly. And it's nothing personal. I think we've wasted a lot of time. Not we, I mean, this fan base talking about a guy who's not very good, trying to prop him up. And it's become exhausting. Leads to the next question. Who will be in Miami's next quarterback? Now, if you listen to my show on Saturday, I made a prediction, and it's just a prediction, that I think Jimmy Garoppolo will be the quarterback Miami signs this offseason. Bring him in, let him compete with Quinn Ewers. May the best man win. Have a training camp battle, old school training camp battle, and may the best man win. And, for all the people, I know there's a lot of Dolphins fans out there. Jimmy Garoppolo sucks. Well, if he's so bad, then Quinn Ewers should be able to beat him out very easily. And don't get your panties in a bunch. But the Dolphins are going to sign a veteran quarterback. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo kind of makes the most sense. He has ties to Bobby Slowick and all that stuff. I think that just makes the most sense. Now, with that said, I don't think the door is closed on Malik Willis. From all the reports I'm seeing, the past 72 hours, it sounds like there's only 3 viable options for Willis. Arizona, Miami, and the Jets. Now, Arizona is probably the favorite here. They have a ton of cap space, the 8th most salary cap space in the NFL. They have the connections, as their head coach is Mike LaFleur in Green Bay. Malik Willis worked with Matt LaFleur. I'm sure the two brothers spoke and shared information. Also, Arizona's offensive coordinator, Nate Hackett, who spent all of, 72 hours in Miami with a job. He's the offensive coordinator in Arizona, worked with Willis in Green Bay. He knows all about him. I think Arizona is probably the favorite to land Willis. Obviously, Miami, you got Jeff Hafley, John Eric Sullivan. Salary cap space is an issue. The Jets have the 5th most cap space. They got more than Arizona, but their offensive coordinator is Frank Reich, and this is a guy who's said numerous times over the years he likes quarterbacks who are big, strong, 6'4", 6'5" guys, big hands, strong arms. So unsure if Willis is a fit for what Frank Reich is looking for in a quarterback with the Jets, as he's now their offensive coordinator. But everyone with the Jets, from Aaron Glenn and everyone on staff, they entered this year on the hottest of hot seats, and they are desperate to save their jobs. So they might look at Willis and go, yeah, he's not what we like in a quarterback, but he gives us the best chance to win games in 2026 and save our job. So if we sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal, we can still then, after this year, go out there and get someone else. So I'd keep an eye on there. But there's also a lot of reports that the Jets are also tied to Geno Smith, and they like Geno Smith a lot as well. So the Jets might look for Geno Smith. He would check more of the boxes from a size standpoint of what the Jets like. So again, if it's these teams that are really, down on or, in the market for Willis, I think you got to be careful that you got Arizona. They don't want to be sort of, putting up offers when there's nobody else making offers, I guess is probably the way to say it. They don't want to be bidding against themselves. And they also might be in the same boat, kind of like Miami is. Look, we're just looking to tread water in 2026, and we'll get our franchise quarterback in the 2027 draft. So if they pass on Willis, or if they give him a lowball offer, then I think Miami might be able to sort of swoop in here and have a realistic chance to get him. And if the Jets are out, say the Jets want to go with Geno Smith, like a lot of reports are saying they're really in on Geno Smith, then I think there's a chance Miami still could land Willis, because Arizona, they got all this money, but how much are they going to want to spend on a guy when they might be looking at the 2027 draft for their franchise quarterback? And again, Arizona can outbid Miami no matter where the bidding goes. So if they want him, they can get him. But it'll be interesting to see how bad they want him. And then if Miami's in on him, how creative they can get in structuring a deal. You might have to do void years. Year 1, have a low salary cap hit. Year 2, it jumps significantly. And I'm still saying I'd be very surprised if Willis gets more than $24 million per season. I just think it's not going to go anywhere near that. I think 20 million is probably the max. I think it's going to be in that 15 to 20 million per season range on average. I know how it's sort of structured might look differently, but we'll see. And I do want to say this. Dave Hyde of the Sun Sentinel wrote an awesome column today. And I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's far too long. But he brings up a very good point about Miami and Willis. And again, my prediction is they're going to sign Jimmy Garoppolo in the next 10 to 14 days. And I think he's going to be the quarterback that competes with yours. So I don't think Miami's going to get Willis. Let me make that clear. I don't think the door's shut on it, though. But Dave Hyde brings up a great point. I'm going to read some of this, and I'll sort of skim through the other parts. Dave Hyde goes, let's be clear. If Sullivan thinks Willis can be a top quarterback, he goes after him hard. Forget this stuff about building up other positions or being patient. You only get so many swings at this position. Let me say that again. As a GM, you only get so many swings at this position. Ask predecessor Chris Greer. He spent years passing on Lamar Jackson, passing on Josh Allen, and picking Josh Rosen, and then opting for Tua over Herbert. There's a short answer to a lost decade. Go back further. Jay Fiedler over Trent Green, Dante Culpepper over Drew Brees, Jake Long over Matt Ryan, and you see how this franchise has walked in the wilderness for a quarter century. Dolphins fans, and this part's really true, Dolphins fans are so skittish about quarterback, hold on, I lost my spot here. Dolphins fans are so skittish about the quarterback decisions by now that the common sentiment is to let 7th-round pick Quinn Ewers compete with a low-cost no-name this year, which is just not going to happen. So, and then assume everything lines up next offseason, and the Dolphins have wasted years trying to trick tomorrow like that, meaning just don't try this year, tank, all this stuff. Again, you only get so many good swings for a quarterback. Is Willis one of those swings? He has shown arm strength, foot speed, and mental capacity to win, but he's not ideal. 6'1" and has only thrown 155 passes. And he goes, Brett Favre, he only threw 4 passes, and 2 of those were intercepted when the Packers traded the 17th pick in round 1 to Atlanta to get him. And he's a Hall of Famer. Mark Brunell threw all of 27 passes in Green Bay before taking a young Jacksonville franchise to not 1 but 2 AFC championship games. The larger point Hyde brings up is when you're trying to find a franchise quarterback, you can't just, write off guys saying, oh, not going to try in this one. Because the problem in Miami has been, since Marino, they've only tried twice to get a franchise quarterback. Ryan Tannehill, Tua Tagovailoa. And when they got those guys, they literally stopped trying to add anyone else. Like I mentioned on a show probably a month ago, look at what the Patriots did. Even when they had Brady, they took guys like Ryan Mallett in round 3. They took Jimmy Garoppolo like in round 2, I think. They took Jacoby Brissett in round 3. They didn't, just because you got Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, doesn't mean you stop adding quarterbacks. So what Hyde's bringing up is, look, take a swing on Willis, and if it doesn't work out this year, you take one in round 1 next year, and if that doesn't work out, you just keep taking swings, because not taking swings, A, will have you be losing forever, and B, will get you fired eventually. So again, we don't know what John Eric Sullivan truly, really thinks about Malik Willis. But if he really believes in him, you know what? Take a swing on him this year and go after him pretty hard, because you're only in this role as a general manager for so long. I know Chris Greer seemed like he was here forever, but that's not normal. And I don't think John Eric Sullivan's going to get that much, runway to be here for as long as Chris Greer was. So don't waste years. Don't think, we're going to tank this year. The next year in round 1, we'll take someone, because we tried that before and it didn't work. So if they feel interested and if they feel strongly on Willis, go for it. You might not agree. I might not agree. But that's their jobs on the line. And they're only going to get so many years in these jobs. You better go for it. And you know what? If it doesn't work out, okay, next year round 1, take a quarterback. Even if they sign Willis next year round 1, keep adding to the position till you hit it right and you do hit a home run. So I thought that was an interesting article from Dave Hyde. Check it out at the Sun Sentinel. The Kyler Murray thing I spoke about yesterday. There's a few reports out there now from Albert Breer, the NFL Network, that Miami's like a top 3 landing spot for Murray. And I get it from Miami side. If you can sign a quarterback like Kyler Murray for $1.3 million for 1 year, you do it. I'm just not sure Murray wants to come to Miami. I mean, he might enjoy no state income tax. He might enjoy a year of just relaxation with no pressure on him. But I think he's going to have much better options. It sounds like Minnesota really wants him. And I think Minnesota is probably a better fit for Murray. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, all those weapons up there. I think that's probably where Murray ends up. And we'll see. But I can see why he's linked to Miami, because $1.3 million, Miami would trip over. If they can add a starting caliber like Murray for 1 year at $1.3 million, because Arizona is paying the bulk of his deal. To sign him, you only have to pay $1.3 million. There's no bidding war. Anyone who wants Murray, it's $1.3 million. No one's going to pay more. Makes no sense. So I think he ends up in Minnesota. Now, what's the domino to fall there? And I know Josh from Same Old Dolphin Show had on NFL reporter Matt Lombardo earlier this week, and he mentioned how Miami should trade for J.J. McCarthy. And I don't know if he's even on the trade block, but if Minnesota, if they view Murray as more than just like a 1 year answer, would they sign Murray for 1 year, $1.3 million, see how it goes? And then would they trade J.J. McCarthy for a second round pick, for a third round pick? And if he's on the trade block, I think Miami needs to show some interest, I think. But I don't know how John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley sort of view McCarthy. Now, look, he's still on his rookie deal, so he's cheap. And I think if you trade for him, it doesn't prevent you from taking a quarterback in round 1 in 2027 if you don't like what you see this year from McCarthy. Last year, he had some games where he looked really good, and he also had some games where he struggled, because last year was essentially his rookie season. And again, because he's on a rookie contract, if you trade for him, it doesn't stop you from taking a quarterback in round 1 next year. The big question with McCarthy, and I think this is where Miami might not show interest, is he's had some injuries issues. Obviously, he missed his real rookie season would have been 2024. He missed the entire year with a meniscus tear, and then last year he missed 5 games with a high ankle sprain. So again, because he's had these injuries, that's why Minnesota might be looking to trade him. But if you're trading for him, you're not going to overpay. Now, Miami's got 3 picks in round 3. If you could get J.J. McCarthy for one of those picks, I think you jump all over it, because he's better than any quarterback you'll take in round 3 this year. But I probably wouldn't part with a second rounder for McCarthy. So just to keep an eye on, because if a lot of the reports have, Willis to Arizona, Murray to Minnesota, and if that's the case, what happens to Minnesota to J.J. McCarthy? Now, look, he's on a rookie contract. They could hold on to him to be the backup, and that's probably a smart thing to do. But they also might be like, you know what? He's really not our long-term answer, hence why we just went out there and got Kyler Murray. So let's look to trade him, maybe get a third-round pick and just wash our hands. And then we'll get another young quarterback either in this draft or next year's draft to sort of start that process over again. We'll see. Now, there's been reports that Miami might trade a pick for Will Levis or even Mac Jones. Now, look, I love Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones got with the Patriots, it was a horrible situation. What he's done kind of in Jacksonville, he was okay the 1 year. And then what he did in San Francisco, he was fantastic this year. I mean, he was fantastic. But for Mac Jones, that's going to cost you a third-round pick, and then it's the final year of his deal. So if you're going to part with a third-round pick, you have to pay him and give him an extension. I don't think Miami wants to do that. So I don't see Mac and I'm not sure San Francisco wants to trade him because Brock Purdy's always hurt too. But Mac Jones, again, if you can get him for like a 4th or a 5th, I'm all over it. But you're probably going to have to give him an extension, and he's probably going to want to get paid. Otherwise, he's just going to be gone in the year. So why part with a pick for a guy who's going to be gone in the year? Doesn't make a lot of sense. Will Levis, I would not part with a pick. Now, Levis, you could probably get for a 5th or a 7th. I think he sucks, so it's not worth losing a draft pick over. Makes no sense. But, so yeah, that's the quarterback situation. And still, my prediction is Jimmy Garoppolo, but I'm not closing the door on Willis. We will see. All right, before I move any further, shout out to everyone at finheaven.com. Everyone go to finheaven.com, largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. Also, if you're listening to this podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Podchaser, and of course, YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed. We're gonna have shows all week. If like big news breaks, big news. If they do sign Willis at 11:30 a.m. one day this week, we will be on the air live shortly after. Like if big news, if they trade Tua, big news that will be live. So when news breaks, be on the lookout this week. That's why you want to make sure you're subscribed. So when a new show drops, you catch it. And you really want to make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. So when we go live, like I am right now, you get the alert on your smartphone, so you can just tune in and join us in the chat and all that good stuff. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen. All right, free agencies this week. I expect it to be a very quiet week. Outside of the quarterback stuff, which something could happen this week, I think it's going to be a quiet week. I don't think they're going to do anything in regards to signings. I was even looking at some of the free agents that the Packers have, thinking guys who might be leaving the Packers, Miami might have some interest in, stuff like that. And it's really a weak list. I mean, they got some guys who are going to get paid. Quay Walker's going to get a big money deal. Miami can't afford him. They got the offensive tackle, Rasheed Walker. He's going to get a huge money deal, like 20-something million a year. Miami, they can't afford him. The wide receiver, Romeo Dobbs, would be a perfect fit for Miami. He's going to break the bank too, probably. Miami can't afford him. Willis, we know. They have a tight end, John Fitzpatrick, but he tore his Achilles late in the year. So he's probably going to miss this year or miss most of this year. So, there's just nobody, even from the Packers list of free agents, that Miami can even sign there. And I thought you'd think there might be a couple. There's not, especially with Miami's salary cap situation. So I think Miami's going to lay low. Let the big ticket guy sign this week. Again, put quarterback to the side. That's a whole different conversation with quarterback. When it comes to everything else, I think Miami's going to sit tight probably this week. They'll probably sit tight next week too. And then once you get to that, next level of guys, the guys not getting the big money deals, maybe Miami can find a value guy here or a value guy there. And as John Eric Sullivan said in the comment, he's looking for role players. He's not looking for big ticket items. So I think that's probably what's going to be the Dolphins' plan here this week and next. I know for some fans it's going to be frustrating because you're going to see every team under the sun start signing guys, and they're adding this guys, and their team's going to be getting substantially better. You're going to see Miami really not do anything. But this is the punishment for sticking with Chris Greer this long. This is the punishment for sticking with Mike McDaniel this long. This is the punishment for giving out bad contracts like they both did the past few years. This year you're not going to be active. And in general, I think with John Eric Sullivan, he's even said free agency, he'll use it, but that's not where he wants to build the team. He's more of a draft guy. So moving forward, even if they had a bunch of salary cap space, I don't think they'd be that active in free agency. Now, they might be more active than probably what they'll be this year, signing, some guys, but I think in general, it's going to be quiet free agency period, especially that first week or two moving forward. But this year is for damn sure going to be quiet. What we might see this week, though, is obviously we saw the cuts last week of Sanders and Ingold. Tyrell Dotson is still someone who might be cut, or if he's not cut, they might, kind of try to force him to restructure his contract, open up salary cap space. If they cut him, it opens up $3 million more of salary cap space, which they can obviously use. And also this week we might get an announcement on Bradley Chubb. And if it's going to be a post-June 1st cut, which opens up $20 million in June, which you can't use now, or if they just cut them now, that will give them $7 million of salary cap space to use right now. So I think we might get an announcement on Chubb by Wednesday at 4, maybe, and Tyrell Dotson as well. I think with Chubb, they almost have to, because he's going to look to sign with another team this week. And I'm not saying he will sign this week, but I think they kind of have to make a call on him. Tyrell Dotson's going to be the interesting one. Now, look, they might do nothing. They might just hold on to him at his current salary, but I think they're going to try to restructure him. And if he doesn't agree, kind of like with Alec Ingold from the NFL Network report, they tried to restructure Alec Ingold. He wouldn't agree to it, and then they had to cut him. So Tyrell Dotson might be the same thing. We'll find out. Let's talk kicker. As they say in football, a very wise man once told me, never take the foot out of football. And kicker is an important thing. Jason Sanders is gone. And I think a lot of Dolphins fans are just assuming Riley Patterson's going to be the Miami Dolphins kicker in 2026. And to quote the great Lee Corso, Not so fast, my friend. Riley Patterson's a free agent, and he's coming off a sensational season. 27 to 29 on field goals, 93.1%. I think only missed one extra point. He was like 97% there. Scored 115 points for the Dolphins. Didn't miss many kicks. There might be a market for Riley Patterson. The Dolphins' limited salary cap space, they might not be able to afford him if they want to bring him back. Then you have to factor in, you have a new general manager, you have a new head coach, you have a new special teams coach in Miami who have no ties and no relationships with Riley Patterson. So I don't think it's a slam dunk. Riley Patterson's coming back to the Dolphins in 2026 to be their kicker. Now, look, he might, and they might sign him even this week if it only costs like $1 million or something, or like a little over $1 million. That might be a layup. They can, sort of sign him and get out of the way if they want him. But I don't think it's a slam dunk because I think Riley Patterson, I have to look and see how many teams actually need a kicker. But if there's a bunch of teams that need a kicker, and there's some teams with like, 50, 60, $70 million in cap space, they might be able to throw Riley Patterson a $2.5 million deal, which John Eric Sullivan's like, I can't afford that on a kicker. So he might not, want to, if there's a market for Patterson, Miami might have to bow out, is essentially my point. Now, there's some free agent kickers on the market right now. Nick Folk, Zane Gonzalez, Joey Sly, and Matt Prater, to name a few. And then you can also, when it comes to place kicker, you can get a couple guys undrafted, free agents after the draft, bring them in to compete. Now, right now, Miami's got 8 picks. They don't have a pick in round 6. You want to use a pick in round 7 on a kicker, go for it. You want to, maybe they trade back a couple times and they get a second pick in round 5, or they get a pick in round 6 that they don't have now, and you want to take a kicker there, go for it. When you get to rounds 5, 6, and 7, if you want to take a kicker, it's a prime spot to take a kicker. So if they can't afford, or if they don't want Patterson, which I don't know if they don't want him or not, but say they don't, or say they want someone like dirt cheap, and they want to take someone in the draft, or they want a UDFA kicker, they do have options. So we'll see. But I think I just wanted to mention this because I see a lot of Dolphins fans like, well, easy to cut Jason Sanders. We got Riley Patterson. Yeah, Patterson's not under contract. And he was so good last year, you might have teams fighting over him. So we'll see. We will see what happens at the kicker spot this week. Draft. Last topic here, and I'm not spending a lot of time on this. So we started our draft coverage this week. We had on Ian Cummings, who covers the draft for PFSN. I got another guest coming up this week as well, maybe 2, talking about the draft. So keep an eye out for that. But at pick number 11, Miami's in a unique spot where if someone falls, they might catch a huge break. And I think someone might fall. I don't know who exactly. I just got a feeling this year someone's going to fall. I think there's going to be a guy or two who go in the top 10 that kind of, I don't want to say nobody expects, but might surprise some people. And I think one of the 2 people who might fall, for those of you who are from South Florida or who are fans of the U, might be Ruben Bain because of his small little arms, which I say is a joke, or Francis Mauigoa, the offensive tackle. Now, I do find it a little hard to believe that I have a tough time with this name, Francis Mauigoa, will fall to pick 11th. But I've seen some mocks like Mel Kiper thinks he will fall to Miami, and I've seen some other mocks where he falls that far. So there's a chance. And I think if he falls that far, Miami will just turn in that card so fast it's not even funny. Because you put him at right guard for a year, then you start him at right tackle, or you can just tell Austin Jackson to go kick rocks, and you put him at right tackle this year and just leave him there. Now, but I don't think he's going to fall that far. Ruben Bain might, because there are a lot of teams that really believe in edge rushers and arm length and how that is a big deal. I understand it. I take some of this stuff with a grain of salt because I think sometimes these scouts and general managers really overthink this stuff. Ruben Bain was a production machine in college, and I think he'll be fine in the NFL. But I do get it how, some people fall in love with traits. I'll say this, though. If he falls to 11, I'm not even so sure Miami would take him because these Packers guys like Sullivan are all about the traits and size measurements. So that would be an interesting one. If Ruben Bain falls out of the top 10, he's there to pick 11. If the Dolphins and John R. Sullivan passed on him, the local fan in Miami would be irate. because they love Ruben Bain, all the things he did for the U. How can you not take him? But I don't know if he would. That would be interesting. I would have no problem. But right now, once again, it's March 8th. It's March 8th. I think the Dolphins at pick 11 are either going edge rusher, cornerback, or offensive line. There is no chance they're taking a wide receiver at 11. I don't care who falls. There is no chance they're taking a tight end at 11, even though Sadiq is amazing. I think at pick 11, it's edge, cornerback, or offensive line. It ain't going to be a quarterback. It won't be a wide receiver. It won't be a tight end. Sonny Styles, if he fell, is unique. They could take him as an off-ball linebacker just because he's a unicorn. But it's edge, corner, offensive line. I think if they can trade down, they will, unless someone falls in their lap. Like if Francis Mauigawa falls in their lap, they're not trading down. I mean, they're going to take him. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think it's going to be edge, corner, or offensive line at pick 1. I just feel very strongly about that. I'd be very surprised if they won at any other position. I mean, safety, if Caleb Downs falls to 11, which he probably won't, yeah, okay, safety. Like Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles are unique in that they're both unicorns who play. They're just so good at what they do, but I don't think they're going to fall. So we'll see what they do at those spots. We got a super chat right here before I'm ending the show. From Idleman12. Tua has $3 million investing on 2027 salary on March 15th. Does Sully designate Tua as a post-June for cut honor before March 15th? Yeah, spoke about this at the top of the show, Idleman. Tua's probably getting cut this week. I wouldn't be shocked if he's cut Monday morning or Tuesday morning, honestly. I don't think they're going to wait around here. They have no trades for him. No one's going to trade for him. And I don't think they're going to sit around holding out hope someone's going to trade for him. I think he's getting cut this week. I think they're going to pick up an option in his contract. So the cap at this year is $55 million, next year $43 million. If they don't, then the cap at this year is $67 million, and next year it's like 33 or 32 million, whatever it is. But I think he's getting cut this week. Sort of spent the first 5 minutes of the show talking about this. Yeah, he's getting cut. This is going to be in our rearview mirror here real soon. There's just no sense of dragging this out here moving forward, and kind of is what it is. Sad how this all ended. It kind of is sad how it all ended because I've never seen a player in any sport be more beloved by a fan base than Tua Tagovailoa. The whole tank for Tua thing, which a lot of those fans who were into that never even watched one of his games at Alabama. They got caught up in the movement. Tank for Tua. Well, everyone's saying it, so I guess he must be great. Tank for Tua. And then he got hurt, and I was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to be tanking for Tua right now. But, they took him, and he came out of the gate rocky. Part of that's on Flores. Part of that's on him. Came out of the gate rocky. Mike McDaniel, he kind of peaked, and then he fell off, and he got paid a lot of money. And then he started having weird press conferences where he attacked the fans. He attacked his coach. He attacked his teammates. And it's like, I don't know. It's a fall from grace I've never seen from a player before, to where he was so beloved with the whole Tuanon movement, to where, this fan base on social media would just act like jerks at time and attack people in the press who just even had the smallest of criticism for him, the smallest of criticisms. They would just attack media people, say horrible things to media people. It's like, guys, he's just a football player. He's open to be criticized, especially when he's not playing well. But the fan base was so loyal and so behind him. And now as we sit here in March 2026, they're not. In part, a lot of it's to do with Tua and his behavior, some of the stuff he said, some of his actions. Yeah, the play on the field is a big part of it. I get it. When guys play bad, fans will turn on you. I'm not naive to that. But I think equally as big a part of it is, he said some dumb things at press conference. He went after fans. I can't run the offense at home. The fans are too loud. Dude, stop making excuses. You suck. Just say, we didn't play well. It's on me. Oh, it's too loud. The fans are making too much noise at home. Shut up. Or you try to catch a snap in the end zone, sitting at home eating your potato chips. Well, I'm not making $50 million. If I did, I'd be at practice every day trying to catch snaps from my center, and that's something I have an issue with. Like, he said dumb stuff, attacked his teammates, saying this year some guys aren't showing up on time for meetings. He had to walk it back the next day, looked like an idiot, had egg over his face. He criticized the head coach at times about him sending in the plays on time, which I get because the head coach stunk too. But you don't say it publicly. And he just, tone deaf. I think he lived a very sheltered life where he never had criticism. He was a superstar in high school, a superstar in college. He gets to the NFL, faces a little bit of adversity, and he didn't know how to act. He didn't know how to handle it. And it just spiraled out of control really, really fast to the point where, fans just want to see him gone now. No one wants him around. But it's going to be interesting. But yeah, he'll be gone this week. And like I said, hopefully we just never really have to talk about him again. I know the salary cap situation, we'll have to talk about it at times and be like, well, we can't do this move because of his contract, or next year we can't do this move. So he's going to come up a time or two over the next year because of the contract still here. Even though he's gone, the black cloud known as Tua is going to be hanging over this franchise. But it really is a remarkable story of a guy who had almost blind loyalty from his fan base. And I know he always had some detractors, but those were real. They were really just a handful of really vocal people on social media. The vast majority of there's videos. There's videos of Dolphins fans in 2020 in COVID in their pajamas in their basement, popping champagne, jumping around. And half of them never saw him play a game in college. They didn't even know what they were celebrating. They were just celebrating because all they heard online was tank for Tua. He must be great. And I'm not saying he was great in college. But he had a lot of injuries. He had ankle injuries. He had the hip injury, obviously. He had injuries. And it's he had the fan support and he squandered it. No player I've ever seen before. Really, really is amazing. But yeah, we'll see. Sounds like he might go to Atlanta. Sounds like he might go to the Colts. Don't know, don't care. But see if he has better luck there and see if he learned any lessons from Miami on how to, how to be a professional. I think is probably the best way to say it, because at times he really wasn't a professional in some of his words and some of his actions. But that's all for today's show. Like I said, Monday, if and when news breaks, we'll be here with the show. Same thing the rest of this week. Starting Monday at noon, news could break at any moment. And when that happens, we will be here with shows. Check out the website, DolphinsTalk.com, for the latest news, rumors. There's a lot of rumors out there. And I always tell folks, just because there's a rumor, don't get yourself, it's not clickbait. It's not, oh my God. Just because you don't want it to happen doesn't make it clickbait. Just because you don't like the report doesn't mean it's fake news. Just that's what reporters are hearing. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. They don't have a crystal ball. Just take it for what it is. We'll see what happens. But we got all the latest news and rumors up there. We got some great commentary articles and opinion pieces as well. Check them out at DolphinsTalk.com. Follow us on social media: TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, Blue Sky at Dolphins Talk. Also, if you want to sign up for Dolphins Talk Extra, patreon.com/Dolphins Talk, $5 a month. Bonus podcast, extra podcast, a private message board, contest, prize. We got our March Madness contest up. You can win. If you win our March Madness contest, you will win a full-size replica black helmet autographed by Tua. So check that out. And what else? This podcast. Subscribe. Wherever you're listening on YouTube, smash that like button, put up a comment below. And that's all. Everyone have a great Sunday night, and we'll talk to you again after a while. And please don't forget, when you're driving around on the streets this week, listen to all the free agent news and rumors. Now, we must put an end to highway profanity.